A recent study reported the number one reason people are quitting their jobs is due to a lack of career development and advancement, especially for diverse employees. Our guest is a serial entrepreneur, and she's solving this problem with her new tech startup, a B2B network platform that matches members with internal experts for skills training, mentorship, and career support. How wonderful is that? It's Fab Female Founder Friday on the Startup Life Live Show. Let's glow, everyone. Hello and welcome to the Startup Life Live Show. I'm your host, Ande, Lyons, 4 times founder and startup champion to founders around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I've got a really good idea of what you are going through every single day, navigating all the pitfalls and obstacles and dissolving them and having those moments where you're feeling like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And then an hour later, oh my gosh, it's a disaster. What am I going to do? So I am so happy that you carved out time to tune in to the Startup Life Live Show, because here we talk about founders' journeys and their stories and their disasters and their great days, so that you feel less isolated and siloed and go, what? It's not just me? No, it isn't. It's like every founder is going through what you're going through. And that's why it's also important to drop some questions in the comments. If you've got something going on with your startup, and you're like, who can I ask this question of? Right here. That's what we're here for. Bring your questions and concerns and challenges, and we'll do our best always to answer them here on the Startup Life Live Show. So thank you for carving out time to up your founder game, because as you do better, your startup will absolutely do better. Big yoo-hoo mwahs to the live viewers, to the replay viewers, hi, and podcast listeners. I'm so happy that you tuned in. And let me just share that if you are on YouTube right now and you haven't done so already, please click on that subscribe button and the bell notification. And hey, be sure to like the video from wherever you're watching, because we're live right now on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And every time you click on that like button, it goes out into your stream. And I bet there's a founder somewhere out there that's going to benefit from our conversation today because you shared it. So thank you for that. And how do you know whenever I've got a new show going on and find out and get a deep dive on who the guest is? You join the Startup Life Live meetup group. This way you'll get to really peel back the layers on who the guest is. And again, bring your questions that you need help with. There could be a founder in your segment, right, in your industry that could have the right answer for you so you can grow and glow. Few Andelicious announcements. Okay, so I just want to always share Scroobius. It's a human-first fundraising experience. And they have 2 workshops right now, a growth hacking, and I think an MVP workshop happening this month. These are free workshops, folks. So go check out Scroobius.com, or shoot them an email, info@scroobius.com. And should you sign up, be sure to use the promo code Ande15 to get 15% off the pricing. Woohoo! And I talk about this a lot. You have to have credibility while you're building your business. You've got to build your founder credibility. And one of the best places to do it is Innovation Women. It's not your average speakers bureau, folks. Bobby Carlton is all about getting rid of the male pale and stale panels, especially in the tech industry. So boost your visibility, get over there. She's got event planners coming to this platform from around the world. Links are in the show notes for that. And let's just give a huge round of applause for Girls Just Want to Have Fun's, the movie that Catherine Gray is producing right now. Go check it out and see if you can add a couple of dollars to their kitty, so to speak, so that they can get that film out and to the public. And there's a terrific salon happening in Atlanta. It's a femme tech salon on December 8th, 2022. Be sure to go check it out. If you're in that area, this is a must check out event. All right. So now I get to introduce our guest, which is like my favorite part of the show, is when I can bring the guest on board and we can get to all the good deliciousness in our conversation. And it's Sandra Babu-Boateng. She's the co-founder of LegacyShift, a B2B matchmaker platform for mentorship, skills, training, and career support. And prior to launching LegacyShift, Sandra co-founded PanaGenius, a US-based digital media company serving global Black audiences. As CEO, she built the company's flagship brand, Face2face Africa, into one of the largest Black-owned media platforms, reaching over 3 million monthly readers globally and engaging thousands of professionals and industry leaders in conferences each year. We are going to learn so much from this fab female founder. Let's bring her into the room. Sandra!
Hi, Andy.
So happy to see you.
Hello there. I am thrilled to be here, and thank you so much for creating this platform and giving this incredible opportunity for founders to come together, connect, and share our stories.
Oh, well, I am so glad you're here. And folks, guess what? Sandra was in the comment threads. I think it was when I had Courtney McRae on the show from Recast Capital.
Right.
And I was like, who is this Sandra? And then I looked you up and I was like, oh, and I pinged her. I connected with her on LinkedIn and pinged her and said, come on the show. And she's like, okay. So, folks, you can do that too. And I am so happy. And I love that you're just like maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours south of me, right? In Connecticut?
Yeah, I'm in Connecticut. I'm in Boston every other week though. So
oh my gosh. We're going to have to hurl, Sandra, hug in real life. It's so good.
Look forward to it.
So folks, remember, it's so important. This is a super opportunity to amplify your brand, pop your company name, one-liner and URL into the comment thread so that we can amplify your work in the world and your startup. And any questions, okay, pop them in too, because you could be struggling with something right now that Sandra or I or another founder in the threads has the answer to. Don't need to be doing this journey alone. Peer-to-peer support is so important. So be sure to do that. All right. Now, Sandra, I'm a huge fan of your work and of you, but I also, as I did my research, fell in love with your Medium posts. And you have this one post that's so great, folks. I'll have the link to it in the show notes. It's called Just a Small Town Girl Living a Big Wild Dream. I felt Journey in my back of my head singing along with that. But it's such a good post talking about how at the age of 8, your beloved grandmother introduced you to the world of possibilities. Will you please share this story with listeners and viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. So that post captures so much of my origin story and really what drives my passion for entrepreneurship, for equity, for much of the work that I've spent the last decade and more doing in my career. So I was born in a small village in Ghana, West Africa. My father, he traveled overseas for greener pastures when I was born. So my mother was a single mother for, a single parent for a very long time. And she also had to go into the city, right, to find work. So she left me and my big sister, my older sister, with my grandmother in the village. So my grandmother, she was the matriarch of the family, right? Very strong, very domineering. And this was very typical of African women and African, household. And she taught me so much about life and business at a young age. So in my village, we didn't have electricity at the time. So kerosene was a very important commodity, right? People needed it for their lamps. At night. So when I was about 7 or 8, I don't really remember, maybe a little bit earlier, she came home with a gallon of kerosene and asked if I wanted to make some money. And I said, yeah, sure. And she gave me that gallon and asked me to go around the village and sell it. I was a little scared because it gets really pitch dark, right, at night.
Yeah.
But that was also the optimal time to sell kerosene.
Right, because you're solving a big problem right then and there.
Very big addressable market there. Um, and but I was really, she was someone that I really valued and respected, and I was just honored that she would entrust me with such a big responsibility, and I wanted to make her proud. So I took it very seriously, selling kerosene for almost 2 years and earning a profit month after month until my mother, I finally joined my mother in the city. And apparently, after I left, my kerosene business was so popular in our town, in our village, that people actually started coming to her house to ask about it. So, my grandmother kept the business alive. She kept it going for years.
Oh my gosh.
When I wasn't around. And, interesting story, when she passed away about 5 years ago, they called me to deliver, this heartbreaking news. And they told me that she had a very important gift that she wanted to make sure was delivered to me. And it was a stack of cash that she had saved from continuing this kerosene business, right? So she taught me so much about business and
And
really
generosity.
generosity, and sowed that seed of entrepreneurship and of faith, right? Because
Yep.
I didn't know what I was doing at that point, but she sowed that into me, and it's really been with me ever since.
Oh, and
Yeah.
you were a walking gift of the abilities that she instilled in you and the passion and the understanding for fulfilling, being able to take care of your family by moving product that people need, solving a really important problem.
Yeah.
And then, giving you the courage to do that as an adult.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
get the training that you wanted. And now you're bringing so many wonderful, and you have brought so many wonderful businesses to light. How did you come to the US? And how did you get your education here or in Africa? Where did all that happen?
I did. So I actually left Ghana for Italy when I was about 11.
Yeah.
So I spent a couple of years in Italy with my dad. We finally had an opportunity to join him there. And then came to the US when I was about 13, came to New York. I went to high school, grew up in the Bronx, went to high school there, earned a full scholarship. I worked really hard, right? And earned a full scholarship to Syracuse University, where I studied communications and really fell in love with digital media, right? And I saw that as a really critical tool and a way to connect people, to bring resources and information to my community, which is what I've been doing in my previous business.
That's right. And that's what you learned as a little girl, was the power of community and the communication with that community, finding your customer segment, right? And delivering them what they wanted. So this is so fascinating. So the digital media is where you saw an entryway and a pathway. So did you go into work with corporate America first?
I did. So that line of work really led me into, having an opportunity to work with so many professionals and corporations who would sponsor, my programs and events. I had access to tremendous data, right, that informed me on the unique experiences and challenges that young professionals, particularly, people of color, were facing in the workforce, right? And I wanted to do something about that, particularly, post-pandemic. It just highlighted a lot of the challenges that I had been advocating for and pushing for at the enterprise, level.
Right.
I really wanted to help, leverage the power of technology to unlock value for organizations and help them support the growth and development and advancement of their people in a meaningful way.
I love that. So the seed was planted. And I love too that you began your career in corporate, because folks, what you learn by going into a large corporation company that has been around and is way past that early stage and gone through enterprise and now is fully formed and almost mature, you see systems and procedures in place that are so helpful to help for you when you go to start your own business. And it gets you better prepared for when you want to scale your business and have more employees. The guy who founded Square, the website, right? He had never hired, I mean, he did that in college. He'd never hired anybody. It was one of his biggest challenges. So I love that you worked in corporate, but I'm sure that you were feeling the calling of your entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. I think
And
I was a natural entrepreneur. Maybe part of the reason why I decided to quit corporate after a year was because I was so eager. You know, as entrepreneurs, you have that passion and desire to always do more, to climb up, to elevate, to solve important problems, right? And
right,
I was not getting an opportunity to do that within my company. Maybe, you know, I was there for just a year, so maybe I needed to hang on a little bit more. But this is really important, Andy, which was that I didn't see a pathway to growth and success, right,
right,
within my company. I was young, I was hungry, I was ambitious. But this, you know, I joined a very big organization and they didn't have the right tools in place to support and nurture my
right,
growth and development. And I shared this story because I left corporate out of frustration, right? And decided I'm going to go into a line of work where I'm going to work with professionals and I'm going to work with companies and help them improve, you know, their culture around learning and development and how to support the growth and development of their people. So that experience really exposed me, right, to the challenges, the real challenges that people like me face, and put me in a position where I wanted to do something about it. I wanted to build initiatives and platforms to address that. And I think post-pandemic in particular,
yeah,
it's worse. You know, I'm sharing this experience. I joined the workforce as a young graduate 10 years ago. It's been over a decade.
right.
When I look at the workforce today, not much has changed.
Right. And I'm going to tell you, here's a little history from my generation, which was when we entered the workforce, it was this quote, really, you had to pay your dues.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to hear from you. You needed to do the grunt work for a very long time. They might have some things to enhance your experience because they needed you somewhere else on the line, or, you know, within, especially in the management area of a business. But nobody really cared because they had this culture of, well, you're going to be here for 35 years, you'll get the watch, and then we'll kick you out at 65. That was a mentality and an indoctrination, and definitely an indoctrination from the Industrial Revolution, where they wanted everybody, blue collar, white collar, didn't matter, to be a cog in the wheel and don't talk.
Yeah.
And now we get a generation, you know, having had a .com, and I, you know, 98, I was sitting there working out, negotiating stock options with 25-year-olds. I sensed right away they were driven completely different and had completely different expectations of their work experience.
Yeah.
And the beauty of what you're working on now is something that has people have been suffering from and talking about for years. And the burden on HR, it's too much to do. So we're going to get into LegacyShift in just a second, but talk a little bit, because you have a huge achievement under your tiara, right? When you left corporate America, I was talking about this in the introduction, right? That you had helped, you know, you co-founded PanaGenius, and which a digital media company, and you built a flagship brand for that into one of the largest Black-owned media platforms, reaching over 3 million monthly readers globally. Folks, this is not easy to do. Anybody who's trying to do email marketing and get over 100 subscribers knows how hard that is. Can you talk a little bit about that, about the success and some of the stumblings that you had?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I just saw an opportunity, right? And I was coming from a place through my media and communication training where I knew how powerful it was. But I also saw the gaps, right? I saw the gaps. I saw that particularly for people of color, there weren't, you know, enough platforms that were intentional about serving our needs, addressing our unique needs, and bringing access to information to the community, to the network, right? Which is so important. I hope we have an opportunity to talk about the importance of building your network, right?
It is your net worth, folks. Social capital is more important than financial capital.
And so important, Andy. And so we spent, you know, a lot of time. We started with events, right, which was a way to connect people, bringing companies and professionals together. We ran one of the sort of the longest running networking mixer series for young professionals in New York City. We created conferences to bring senior leaders and professionals together. And at the center of all of this was discussions about mentorship and coaching, right? Yeah. And organizations not being able to do enough of it, right? Because of various, challenges and inefficiencies around how these programs are operated. But I learned a lot from that experience building LegacyShift. Number one, I learned about the value of communities and how to create communities, right? And now what I'm building with LegacyShift is a 2.0, version of that, is a tech community, but it's also community with purpose, right? Enabling people to really leverage and access people from their network, from the organizations who can support their personal and professional goals. So it's all intertwined. I've learned so much from my previous business, and now I'm thrilled that I get to put it to use, right?
Right.
Building in LegacyShift.
Oh my gosh. And folks, this is how threads happen, right? You got your idea watching and looking around you, and from your own personal experience of being frustrated, like nobody wants to up my game here. I don't have a mentor. I certainly don't have a mentor that looks like me, who has made it up so I can say, okay, he or she did this, I can too. Nobody's here to lift me up. No one's here to encourage me to do better. They just want me to fill this role and do it, and then go home and come back again tomorrow and do it. And so then when you had your own business, you started hearing the conversations as you created the networking events, and you're like, okay, this is okay. I need to nurture this seed and grow it and water it, et cetera, and come up with a name for it. So when did you start LegacyShift, and talk about how you came up with the name?
Yeah, so I started LegacyShift post-pandemic, right?
Well, and let's define post-pandemic, because I feel like we're still in the pandemic.
Right after the pandemic happened, like that year. Why is that? Is because
like the summer of 2020.
Yes, somewhere around there, because we couldn't host any of our live events, right? That completely impacted the events industry. And so we had to think of another way to engage our audience, to continue to impact our community. And so LegacyShift came about. And with the name, it really captures what we're trying to do here, which is to enable people. I think, I being from Ghana, and when I share my story of growing up, right, without electricity, and without, having access to so many things, it would have been unimaginable to think of me being where I am today, where I'm solving the kind of problems that I am solving today. And I always say that the best and the brightest people in my village, they never made it out. They never made it out because they never got an opportunity, right? So opportunity is critical. The world is full of potential, but not enough opportunity.
Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. Hold on, everybody. You know what's coming now. Stitch that on a pillow. The world is filled with possibility.
Yeah.
But not enough opportunity.
Yeah. And I've seen it. I've seen it growing up in Ghana. I've seen it here in the US, growing up in the Bronx. I've seen it all around me. And I think technology, that's why I'm passionate about technology, because I think it can unlock value and bring access to the knowledge, the resources, the opportunities that people need to advance in their, lives, personal and professional lives. So for me, this is about giving everyone the chance to shift their legacy, because life is not about where you started. It's about how you end, right?
Another sit on a pillow moment, everyone. Oh my gosh. It's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if society can be more intentional, right, about using technology to address, inequity, and to address these gaps that we see in the workplace, in our, day-to-day life, I think we can change the world. So LegacyShift is about empowering everyone and enabling organizations to leverage their own people, right? To hone new skills, elevate and inspire their people at scale.
And what I love about this, because folks, you worked in companies, HR, as much as they want to do all this career growth work, they are focused on hiring and firing and being in compliance along the way. With all due respect to all, HR folks out there, that you might be able to instill some programs, have some groups, but what you have done with LegacyShift is take that burden from them. So they can get the matchmaking going and go, what? I didn't know we had a guy in Austin who wanted to A, mentor, B, was in this category, and C, Julie over here wants to go and get mentored by them. And now they're like, singing and having a great time. And you could never have figured that out without AI or technology that you are doing with LegacyShift.
Absolutely. And Ande, I had an opportunity to build some of these mentorship and coaching programs for organizations. And I really, when I got to do that, I was like, oh, this is why, this is such an issue for organizations, because it's really it can be a very inefficient, manual process. And we know that everything that's manual is hard to scale, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I remember one time I had like 300 mentees and an Excel sheet with like 50 mentors, and I had to figure out the best way to map. It was just impossible. So you're using different tools. I spent countless amount of hours, doing research on LinkedIn or pulling their profiles from some place and do my best to match them. And the worst part was when you match people and the matching doesn't go well, the relationship doesn't go well, right? And they get stuck in that relationship, and it's awkward for them to come and say, I don't like my mentor, or I don't, we're not getting along. It's a very awkward
So you have an off-ramp on your platform?
Well, the way that we're approaching it is really democratizing that opportunity and enabling people to build their own support system. Right. So we're making recommendations for you based on profiles, based on skills and goals, but we're not matching you it's not a marriage, right?
Right.
What we hope our platform can do is enable you to meet a few people within your organization who are a good fit for you based on your goals, based on your interest. Go out there, have coffee chats with them, right? Have office hours with them. And then our goal is that after those initial conversations, you can come out with the 5 or a few people, right, that become your internal support system. And these are people that you can go to for advice, you can go to for any, for support, right, for anything on how to navigate, how to grow. And those people can change anytime, right? If you want, someone just for quick advice, you can add them to your support network. So we're approaching it differently from traditional sort of one-on-one matching.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much, because a person's going to get something from this person, maybe just it's a female, so they'll understand, versus, a guy, versus a person of color, versus somebody who might have expertise in one specific area to help them during this growth within the company, but then someone over. I love that, because the one-on-one is never enough.
It's never enough. And this is very intuitive. I took all my experience, right? Kind of building this, but also in my personal life, I've had great mentors, and I've mentored, many people as well. And I have mentors that I talk to on a need be basis, right? Like I know this is the person I go to for this particular kind of advice. I may talk to them, once every 6 months, once a year, right, when I need them. And then I have mentors that I work with on a more regular basis, or maybe if I'm working on a project, then I can work with them on, on a more regular basis for that period. I have coaches that I work with for different things, but I don't have a central way to bring all these people together, right, based on where I am in life and my goals. And that's what we've created, right? Something that really enables individuals to build that long-term support system with the flexibility to change and update, add, and delete people as they move along. But ultimately, you have a career, a support system, because Ande, no one was meant to do this life on your own.
Oh, 100%. If you want to go slow, do it alone, right?
Right. So let's make it easier for people to find the right people along the journey. And to me, I think mentorship and coaching, when I look at the workforce today, particularly the challenges that people are facing in navigating a remote, a hybrid workforce. I see mentorship and coaching as the most undertapped retention and career advancement opportunity for organizations.
Right. Because the numbers, folks, based on LinkedIn, and they would know, the turnover is like 12 months. 50% of people leave after 12 months.
Yeah.
And it's not because of anything else other than they don't feel where they can get better. People, as humans, want to grow and do better. And it's, if you're bringing on especially young folks who are seeking to grow and have a fulfilling life and be fully expressed, you've got to bring that to them. And the lived experiences of the mentors, Sandra, that's the real beauty, because they've had other jobs, they've had life experiences that are going to add value. And now HR can go, yeah, you're doing great.
Yeah. And I use my experience even building this company. I've gotten this far because of mentors, right? My first company, I bootstrapped. I didn't go the venture capital route. This company is different. And the only way that I'm able to learn, right, and I'm able to build, to get access to the tools and resources is through a network of mentors who are helping me, right, navigate where I am in my business right now. So if you think about it, mentorship is so important for founders and taking their business from A to Z. How much more professionals who want to learn how to grow and advance, right? And I think what we need to do is to make sure that they have access to the leaders, to the coaches, the mentors internally to help them advance their careers.
And you've got a platform that's helping make that happen, because you're not, you can't go and tap someone on the shoulder and say, hey, can you be a mentor? They get to volunteer. It's permission mentoring. In a beautiful way. So now you've built the platform, you had to figure out all the technology. Did you offshore it? Did you bring someone in-house? Is the co-founder a smarty pants CTO? Like, how did you work that part out?
Yeah, so because of my digital media background, we've been able to work with some amazing engineers. And so we basically assembled some of the best and our favorites that we've worked with for this, to build LegacyShift with us internally. My co-founder is also, technical, and he's been kind of leading the product, front of this and working with our engineers. So we have an amazing team, but what's more important is they are all super passionate about this problem that we're solving, right? Which is, I'm sure it's so critical for teams at this early stage. So we've got a great team that is building with us, and they know that we're solving a very huge problem for.
Well, and I got to tell you, I'm having an Andelicious moment right now, folks. Hold on. Did you hear those key words out of Sandra's mouth? They're all passionate about the problem they're solving. And I'm just going to take it to the next level, the people they're solving it for. This is key, founders, for you as the founder, as well as when you're raising funds. This is what the investors want to hear, because you can have the best solution in the world. If you're too much in love with that solution versus the problem and the people you're solving it for, it's not going to work out. Just going to tell you that. So Sandra, that's going to be my TikTok takeaway today for sure, reminding everybody that deep passion. And so you had to do everything that everyone else does, improving your MVP, the market fit, finding, customer distribution, customer segment, and that distribution channel for reaching them. B2B is a very broad area. Did you find a specific customer segment that you wanted to go after first to prove your viability?
Yeah, so let me just say that we've spent a lot of time in customer discovery, right? Which is so important for founders to do. Spend a lot of time talking to your customers before you build your product. So we've done that. Like I knew the pain points and challenges. I knew there was a problem to be addressed, but I still I've talked to over 200 companies and organizations across different industry sizes. And I really wanted to validate, this problem, not just from my viewpoint and experience, but from their perspective as well, and that has been very, very helpful. And so that really helped us build. We built a solution that is so easy to use that can really serve different customers, right? We're talking about organizations, universities, and companies. But as a startup, you can't serve all these customers.
You can't. Right? I mean, as much as you'd be like, I got the whole world.
Yeah. So what we know that we're building a very scalable business, but where we're starting is where we see the most pressing and urgent need, right? Which is helping enterprises optimize and bring liquidity and efficiency to the way they operate these programs. So we're starting with enterprises, but quickly we plan to expand into universities. I'm so excited to work with universities to help them engage the alumni, right? To provide mentorship and coaching to students. That's something I'm super passionate about. So we'll quickly grow into that. And we actually have some great universities that will be piloting with us, right? Like Syracuse, UConn, and how exciting is it to be able to build a product that your alma mater actually gets to use, right?
Yeah, come on, that is just that, and you become, the star for them as well as an alum. Yeah. It's just that's such a a give win-win situation.
It's great.
I love that.
But so in next year we'll be launching some pilots with some enterprises. We're looking for some more innovative, right, companies who really care about improving their workplace culture around mentorship and coaching, learning and development, to partner with us to do some pilots, to use our technology and see the value that it can deliver to them. So if any company is interested and really wants to take these programs to the next level, we've got a great solution for you. Reach out to us.
Yes, and I have the show notes. Of course, you see all the links right here on the screen, but I'll have them in the show notes as well for the podcast listeners. But it's contact@LegacyShift.com for folks who want to quickly reach out and get some.
You can talk to me directly too on LinkedIn. You can find me anywhere. So
that's right. Sandra's out there working the crowd all the time because she is, as you've learned, the social capital builder. Okay, the networker extraordinaire. And so as you launch this business in the middle of the pandemic, the beginning of 2020, how have you funded LegacyShift? Have you been bootstrapping, bank loans, angel investors, or Reg C crowdfunding is also popular? What has that journey been like for you?
So we've been bootstrapping. We seeded this on our own. My co-founder and I. And we've also, Techstars has also invested in our company. We did Techstars Boston in the summer. So that was great, and that has gotten us to this point where we've built a very great MVP, that we're ready to deploy to customers. As you know, and fundraising is difficult.
It's so hard. It's not like you're in the category of I need 15 million and you can go and hire a investment broker or somebody like that. You have to do that and do this yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, and particularly for women and women of color, it's a really challenging space to navigate. That has been something that I had to learn because my first business was different. As I said, we bootstrapped fully for 10 years or so. And so, navigating fundraising, and when you look at the numbers, it can get very discouraging, right?
It can get very discouraging. And also, folks, the word VC means venture capital, means so many different things depending on the fund you go to. So we're seeing an increase of wonderful funds, venture capital firms, like Rare Breed, for example, led by a man of color and investing in undersourced and served founders. That's great. That's one fund. We could probably come up with 10 others. It's a slow process. A wonderful, I can't remember his full name, John, white man, very, very wealthy, put 400 million into these types of funds. They're usually $10 million funds, maybe 25, maybe $50 million funds, not a whole lot of assets, folks. A lot of VC firms are in the billions with their assets, but these smaller funds are going to be able to come in and give enough capital for you to get to the next level and have the credibility to attract the larger, more institutional like funding. How much money are you seeking now that would help add wind to your sales?
Yeah, so we're not actively raising right now.
Oh, good. So you can focus on building.
Yeah,
Yay!
we're always happy to meet investors, as we kind of prep for our next stage. So we're happy to talk to investors.
But you have a cap table right now with investors that you feel really great about, Techstars being one of them.
Thank you.
Hooray. And did you find when you were pitching, did you find a way to bring people out of their bias and back to your mission and vision? Because folks, this is the challenge. And sometimes you're going to get a question that has you saying, say what? And someone like me would be like, hold my beer, like go and beat the person up. But you can't. You have to bring them back from their bias to the vision. Yes, and this is what we're doing. And this is how we're going to solve this problem for our customers.
Yeah.
And what was your experience like?
Yeah, I mean, my experience and advice to founders is to, number one, acknowledge that there is bias. It's important to acknowledge that, right?
Right.
But to not dwell on it, right? You still, and to your point, when you get a question, which you will get a lot of questions that you're thinking you would never ask a man that question, or you're only asking me because I'm me, because of who is sitting in front of you, right? You get a lot of those, but don't dwell on it. Always stay focused on your mission, on why you're the one who is solving this problem. Don't get distracted by the bias, because you will see a lot of it and it can get very discouraging, right? And so just stay focused on your story and why you're doing this, and the right partners, the right investors will come at the right time. I really believe that. Someone gave me a really great advice when it comes to fundraising, which is that there is at least one person, one investor out there who is crazy enough to believe in what you're building, who thinks that what you're solving is a problem and is as passionate about solving it as you are. The challenge is finding that investor, right? And unfortunately, you may have to talk to 100, 200, 300, or 1,000 before you find that one. But persevere, stay focused, and network your way, meet people, connect with people, ask for intros where you can. And as long as you're committed and passionate enough and you stay focused, you will find that investor. So don't dwell on the bias. It's going to be there. And of course, we were talking about it before the show. There's a lot that needs to be done to address that, right? Starting with getting more women writing checks, right? And so I'm looking forward to start becoming an angel investor.
That's what we're talking about. I love that, Sandra.
Yeah, and writing checks for women. And so that's where it starts. It starts with getting more of us who understand the types of problems that we're solving and why we're passionate about it, right? So I believe that change is on the way, although it seems like it's lagging. But for founders, just continue to break through those barriers.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for that inspiration, seriously. And as Mia says right here, the balance of acknowledging bias, but not dwelling on it. Whew, so important. And folks, you know what happens when Mia stops by and says, hi, I got to put it out into the world. One of my favorite podcasts that I love listening to. That's right. It's Shit We Don't Talk About with Mia Voss. Hop on over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you tune in. And Mia has a wonderful, unique ability to share the things that we don't want to talk about, that we need to talk about. It's wonderful. So you keep talking about your wonderful co-founder. He has the same last name as you, Sandra. How's that going for any of the other founders out there in the world who are also building a business with their beloved?
Yeah, I am. We are a husband and wife team. And, we met over 15 years ago. On business, right? We connected based on our shared passion for solving these type of problems. We have a very similar background. It's actually quite shocking. We're both from Ghana, but even kind of our story in Ghana is very similar. His dad also left when he was, so We are
Oh,
aligned in terms
yes.
of our vision for the world and the way that we want to leverage technology to address equity. And so he is the best business partner that I could have ever asked, the best co-founder that I could have asked for. And I always say I'm thrilled to meet other, husband and wife teams. It's not for everyone, right? I'm not saying go out there and start a business
No.
partner. It has to be right for you, and it
Right.
requires a lot of discipline. With my husband and I, we have very distinct roles. His strengths are my weaknesses, and vice versa, right?
Perfect.
And so we're able
Perfect.
to focus. We have boundaries, and that's how we're able to, to make it work. But it's exciting, and if you're building something great, something revolutionary, you want to build it with someone that you actually like.
Absolutely, because it's a marriage, whether you're two
Marriage.
people or a husband and wife.
And so we're fortunate to have that connection and passion for what we're building. I couldn't imagine it any other way.
Oh, I'm so happy for you and your darling man. It's a beautiful way to be expressed in the world, too. It really is, that level of partnership. And especially since you're aligned in so many ways, so you have a lot of common landscape that you can both take comfort in. That's just
Definitely.
tremendous. So let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what success looks like for you. Sometimes it's a feeling, it's an outcome, but more importantly, when you go to measure success, folks, it's so important that you use your measuring tape and not someone else's. And it's very easy to use someone else's because people are always telling you what success looks like for you.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know, Sandra, what does it look or feel like
It's a great
success for you?
question, Andy. There are two things that we are tracking on our platform, which is retention for organizations, right? So being able to leverage our data to show that you're retaining your employees by a certain percentage. So helping people stay within your organization, but also not just stay in, but advance, right? So we're tracking that, how many people are able to advance in your career based on the support, the mentorship, the coaching that they are receiving through our platform, right? And so for me, that's what success looks like, right? Being able to open up the C-suite and get more Black and brown people in the C-suite, right? Being able to get more women in leadership positions and in other opportunities within corporations, in boardrooms. That is the outcome and the feeling, that I want to feel and I want to see. And so we're tracking that, and we feel we've built a very powerful and revolutionary tool that is helping organizations do that. But one of the things that I am really excited about with our platform is the tracking, right? Oftentimes that's the biggest challenge for organizations, how to track these programs. And we are basically introducing this concept of credentialism to the industry, where members can build an immutable record of mentorship and coaching that they can use to advance their own careers and to track their career progression. So we're very data driven. We're a data company, and we want to leverage this data to help organizations improve their programs and improve outcomes for
So
everyone.
let me ask you a little question about that. I have to pull on a thread there. So you're credentializing the mentors, right? Is that so when they leave, let's say they're at a major bank here and then they move over and work at a large medical facility.
Yeah.
Can they take those creds with them?
That's the plan, right? The plan is to be able to build on that based on, so it's a point system, right?
Yeah.
And what we're doing is at different levels, we elevate your status based on the number of hours and your engagement on the platform. We elevate you to a status. So you can be a diamond star mentor, gold star mentor. And the idea is for people, for this to be something you can put on your resume or on your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Right?
It differentiates you. It's brilliant. I love it. Something fierce.
Exactly. And I've met so many great people who have put so much time into mentoring and supporting others. And all they can do is say it. They can't show it. Right.
Yeah. I don't know. This is key. It's so key. I think that's going to be one of the biggest benefits that folks are going to just go crazy about. And when someone leaves an organization to another organization and they don't have LegacyShift, they're going to be like, why don't you have LegacyShift?
Exactly.
You're going to get these brand ambassadors out there for you, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I know you were going to ask about our competitive moat, right?
Yeah.
Tell some of the really cool and innovative features that we've introduced on our platform to, to do
To
that.
differentiate. And it's been clear, and it's one of the reasons I didn't really go deep on that with you, because it's clear between the name and how you vibe with what you're doing. People will duplicate it, no problem. That's like walk
Mhm.
down the bread aisle, people. There's whole wheat, there's everything out there. People are always
Yeah,
making it, but you are doing it your way,
yeah,
and the way LegacyShift brings it to the world. And that is the best of moats for people. And that's, keeping the competitor in their lane and not of yours. So
yep, exactly. Competition is good, right? It drives innovation. But I think if you can figure out a way to be unique, to be distinct, right?
right.
Which I think is what we've done here at Legacy Shift. We're not, looking, well, maybe we are a little bit, but we want to be different. We want to introduce something refreshing to the market, and that's what we've done.
That's right. And so I am so excited about LegacyShift. As you have gone through your variety of roles in entrepreneurship, I know there have been days where you are feeling, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Why did I do this? Or perhaps you're lying awake going, that is not working. How are we going to solve that problem? It's
Yeah,
mindset, everybody.
mindset.
Women, can certainly have the feelings of not just inadequacy, but not being enough, not having enough value. Lots of,
Oscar syndrome. You know.
there's so many indoctrination details that you can get. And, you hear the famous people interviewed and they talk about imposter syndrome. So, it's there. But what's really important and what's really helpful for viewers and listeners of this show is, how did you figure out how to get out of it? And everybody's going to have their own different methodology for shifting back into, I've got this. What's
Yeah.
yours?
It's a great question, Andy. So there are a couple of things that work for me, right? Number one is I'm a very spiritual person, right?
Okay.
And so I can take a spiritual kind of break and reconnect with my faith and my spirituality. And that always resets me, right? It gives me the extra boost that I need to keep going for another couple of days. So that has been very helpful. And then sometimes, I unplug. You got to know as a founder when it's time to unplug and just sit back, and just, Netflix and chill all day, even if it's for 24 hours. You have no idea what that can do for you. And what I have seen is when I take quick breaks, right? I go for a long stretch of time working, sometimes, you're working 24 hours. But when you take that break, 24 hours of Netflix and chill, unplugging, you start itching, because that founder, it's in you as a founder. So you start itching to get back to it. And so I come back with so much energy, with such a different perspective. And I'm actually able to work smarter and much more efficient than before, when I was trying to keep going without taking a break, right?
Yeah.
So I think you should have that thing, whether it's yoga, meditation. I know founders, everyone has their thing, something that works for them. For me, it's reconnecting with my spirituality, praying, or just taking a quick break when I feel like I'm overworked, and
Oh,
just
yeah.
Netflixing and chilling.
Netflix and chilling.
Yeah,
Folks,
leave them time. Yeah.
and Sandra, this is documented, folks. The 24-hour break, Stephen Covey talked about it back in the 80s.
Mm,
It is key that, and
yeah.
Sandra is absolutely right. If you just say, I am completely unplugging, I'm going to go disappear into something that takes me out of my constant worrying, and I meant WIHIRR, spinning of all the great ideas for your business, and gives you relief and release from that for a 24-hour period, folks. 24 hours.
Yeah.
You get so recharged, just like Sandra said. All of a sudden, it's like, I can't wait to get back in that saddle. Let's go.
Yeah.
And rather than not only burning out, but there's too much indoctrination of the grind. You hear people like, yeah, into the grind. No, the grind is what wears you down. It does not lift you up. Grit, on the other hand, is what you tap into to really soar. But grind is a message that nobody needs to be hearing.
Yeah.
So I love that. And I love how it helps you soar. And I know you've been at this since you were 8 years old with entrepreneurship, but I'm sure you've seen how it has served you both personally and professionally. Share with everybody how that's worked for you.
Oh, absolutely. It's really, it's such a powerful thing and a transformational experience to be able to wake up every day doing exactly what you love to do, solving problems that you want to solve in your own way. And entrepreneurship is a difficult journey. There's so much uncertainty, right? I've had more failures than successes, Andy. But being able to wake up every day, trying to tackle a problem that I'm so passionate about, a problem that could change the world, could change life for so many people, is what drives me. And I feel really privileged and honored to be able to do something like this, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm living the life of my dreams, and it's not because everything is perfect, but it's because I'm living a life of purpose, right?
Right.
I feel like I'm living my purpose, and I couldn't ask for more.
Oh, I'm so grateful that you have that. You're having that experience. And folks, don't ever be caged by your age. You're never too young or too old to continue to have purpose. Don't let people tell you at a certain age you're done. You can bring your purpose to the world with your last breath. How may the Startup Life Live community add wind to your sails?
Oh, thank you so much. So we are in a really great place right now. We're looking for, as I said, more innovative companies who want to pilot our platform, bring our technology into their organizations, into their companies. So if you are, affiliated with a company, just tell your company about LegacyShift. Like, hey, have you heard about LegacyShift? Call up your HR leader and let them know about LegacyShift. Or just contact us, get more information and share it. Through your support, we can really bring this tool within, so many companies and help transform how we learn, how we grow, how we support each other. So word of mouth, spread the word. LegacyShift is here.
Yay.
And we're going to transform mentorship and coaching together. So thank you so much
Ah.
for the support and the opportunity to be here, Andy. This has been a great conversation.
Oh, it has been so wonderful. And between the name and the problem that you're solving and the folks you're solving it for, I am so excited to watch all of this unfold and grow and soar and have the impact that it will have in the world, which is changing people's lives and enhancing their work, their careers, their own passion in the world, because you're making it easier for them to tap in and deliver themselves to us.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sandra, for joining me. Any last words before I pop you into the green room?
No, thank you, Andy. I'm really, honored to be a part of this community, and thanks for inviting me to come and share my story and what we're building. And keep rocking on. You are such a trailblazer, and we look up to you and everything that you've done. So thank you, and I wish you the best of luck as well, and happy holidays.
Thank you.
December 2nd, you can start saying happy holidays.
You can absolutely start saying that. And I want to see you the next time you're in Boston. I want to come down and give you a big hug, and we'll do a photo and maybe a little TikTok as well.
Let's make it happen. Yes.
It would be wonderful. I'm going to pop you in the green room and wrap up the show. Thank you, Sandra, for joining us and sharing your wonderful journey with LegacyShift. Oh my gosh, everyone, we learned so much from Sandra. Are you just super inspired now for everything that you're doing? All the links for LegacyShift and how to connect with Sandra are in the show notes. Remember a couple of great words of wisdom from Sandra today, but also build your network, connect with Sandra everywhere she glows as part of your assignment. Let me share with you who's coming on next Tuesday, December 6th on the Startup Life Live show. We're chatting with Alejandra Santos. Born into an entrepreneurial family, Alejandra is deeply empathetic to the struggles and challenges entrepreneurship presents. That's why she's launched Startup Tandem to help entrepreneurs start their businesses off on the right foot. So bring your burning questions and startup questions for Alejandra and me, and we'll answer them live during the show. And don't forget to join the Startup Life Live meetup group. That's where you can always find out whenever I have a new show, who's going to be on it, what we're going to be chatting about, and bring those questions, because where else are you going to get these kind of questions answered? From founders who are in the trenches with the kind of business that might be similar to yours. Anyway, I am just so proud of all of you for what you do and how you get up every day on purpose, no matter what, to bring your gifts to the world. So promise me that you'll remember you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and as we say here in Boston, wicked smarter than you think. You've got this, everyone. See you next time. Cheers. Mwah.